Good morning and welcome to the channel. As always, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, like this video, hit that notification bell. That way, anytime we upload something new, you'll be able to see it. Today's agenda, the plan is go over to Brad's house, just kind of do a little bit of update video where we're at. There's a lot of stuff that we didn't film that we really would like to show people, but unfortunately, it's just one of those things. Still kind of new to this, so figuring out what we need to record and what we don't need to record. And honestly, we're used to just kind of working on stuff and not filming anything, so we never even thought to have the camera running. But anyways, I think what we're going to do here is just kind of run over to Brad's house, throw the camera out, and I'm just going to kind of go over where we're at with it so far. Stay tuned. Alright, so we made it here to Brad's house. Let's get this garage open. Izzy. So I'm sure you've seen Miss Izzy in some of the other videos, but anyways, I'd like to formally introduce her. This is Brad's baby, Izzy the Pit, Izzy Wizzy. She gets really excited when she sees people, and well, she just kind of pees everywhere, so Izzy Wizzy stuck. But anyways, she's probably one of the sweetest pit bulls in the world. Anyways, without further ado, so here is, well, mostly a Polaris. We still have, I guess I could come over here real quick. This is the engine that came off of it. This was a Trailblazer 250, so it was 250cc 4-stroke. But the reason that Jake was so adamant upon this is because it's a centrifugal drive automatic. So that already gave us a little bit less fabrication, a little bit more basis to start, because we don't have to try and come up with something to do. How are we going to get power to this transmission? But anyways, you can see not a very big engine at all, just 250 cc's, and with it being a 2-stroke, there's really not a whole heck of a lot to it. You don't have to have an oil tank, because you just mix the oil with the fuel, or I believe this quad did have an oil tank on it. Don't know if the gentleman before us was using it or not, but either way, Jake did ride this, and he said it rode pretty good. Given the fact that it had a little bend in the frame there that we didn't notice until we got the plastics off of it. But anyways, here's a 4-wheeler, and then you can see we've very crudely placed the engine in there. I believe that's about where it's going to sit. You can kind of see you just got a piece of wood under there with the jack. We tried to weld some frame into it the other day because we did have to cut the bottom of this out, which we did not show in the video, and I do apologize for that. But you saw the video where we cut the side bars out that came down, and we ended up having to cut the bottom because, as you can see, she definitely does hang below the frame a little bit. Had to do some more cutting than what we had originally anticipated, but that's all in the nature of trying to shove a 3-cylinder 1200cc engine into this quad. But we have made pretty good progress considering. This is still got to get fixed. We haven't messed with it yet, and of course you can see where the guy, he hit a pretty big tree there. But we pretty well got everything stripped down. Unlike most of our projects, we pretty much know where everything's at. Over here you got, plastics. That's actually a transmission out of a lawnmower, or a differential. That may get used sometime in a future video. Not real sure yet. Intake tubes, some floorboards. Of course, you got the exhaust. It's 2-stroke, so it does have that big expansion chamber on it. The front plastics for the Trailblazer. Then down here, this is the snowmobile muffler, which we're not going to use. I think we're gonna do something with those 2 miter cut exhaust tips. It's probably gonna be obnoxious and loud because that's just the way it has it. Mud flaps for it. This is the fuel tank out of the Skidoo. Not going to be able to use it, but it is fuel injected. It has a fuel pump. The nice thing about Jake is he can weld plastic. I did not even know that that was a thing you could do, but apparently he can. So he's going to find some way to adapt that fuel pump onto our Polaris fuel tank. And of course over here we got the headlight, there's the oil cap, and then the seat. The seat is pretty mint, except for that little spot right there. But no big deal. And then there's just random stuff laying all over the place. Stuff that we cut off, metal that's just not there anymore. I believe that's actually the oil tank off the Polaris. Then up here over on the wall, we have pretty much the brain of the Skidoo engine. This here is your throttle body. It's got the intake tube on it, some vacuum lines, the throttle cable, and then we're not 100% sure exactly what this would have went to on the sled, but I don't think we're going to use it. We'll probably end up capping these lines off because we won't have any use for them. Then of course over here you've got your fuse and a couple of relays in there, voltage regulator, the new PCM that we bought that came with the key, speedometer and the rest of the wiring. You saw in the video that we can take and just kind of hook this up and run it on the floor. So it would still run in theory, but we still got a few things that we have to figure out. One thing that we found out really quick is that we needed this shaft. This is from the Polaris. You can kind of see it's been beat on a little bit. The reason for that is we need to be able to weld this onto here so that we can get the belt to be where it needs to, which brings me to my next point. How did we get that shaft and why is it all beat up? Well, if you notice, that shaft has threads on it. We didn't know that, so the pulley that was on that shaft, we thought that it was a pressed in, so we just kind of started beating on it. And then this was kind of the product of our efforts there. I mean, you can see where we had a big pipe in there and we were trying to beat it out. Well, we didn't know it had threads in it, so we ended up taking the Sawzall and just cutting pretty much a box around it, and then hit it with a hammer a couple times, and it came out. And of course, that's when we realized, oh, that was threaded. Maybe we could just put some heat on it and got it to come out. Either way, does not matter, irrelevant. We got it out of there. So that's one obstacle that we have to overcome is getting that welded together and getting it to where the belt will line up with this pulley. So that brings us to our next point. Maybe some of you guys can help us. We're pretty new to the whole snowmobile thing. The belt. So we do have a good belt that does fit in here. It's got the proper angle, because we're finding out that the angle, it's kind of hard to get that on camera, but this belt has actually got a taper to it. It's got some numbers on it that Jake was able to decipher and figure out what they meant. The problem with this belt is, yes, it'll work. It's a factory belt from the sled. The problem with it is those two pulleys were a lot closer together than what we're able to do, because we have the oil tank here that is really, really, really close to the transmission already. We'd like to keep it away from it if we can. It's fairly hard plastic, but either way, vibration will eventually rub through that, and then the dang thing will be leaking oil everywhere. So that's one obstacle we have to overcome. Let's see here. The next, you can see this. That is the factory Skidoo intake. The injectors are actually built in to the flange. So if I take and hold this up, you can see that we have a fairly substantial problem there as well. Jake believes that he can fabricate an intake. I believe he's going to make one out of aluminum. I'm really curious to see what he does, because even then, with the way that those ports on the cylinder head sit, it's still, everything is super close to this transmission. We have fairly good access to work on the engine. He plans on doing something to make it to where we can actually get that coil out, but we'll figure that out at a later date. But we've done quite a bit of hacking. We've done a lot of talking, trying to figure things out, researching stuff on the internet, trying to find belts, trying to find somebody that can do an intake. We'll eventually get it all figured out, but it's just the schematics of it. So this project is going to take a little bit longer to finish than what we had originally anticipated. We thought it was going to go fairly smooth, but of course, anytime you're trying to put an engine into something that it was not designed to have, there is always little hurdles that you have to overcome. But we'll eventually get them figured out, and we'll be ripping this. But either way, that's kind of where we're at right now. We got to get the frame built for sure underneath of here, which you can see. We tried to weld, and it looks pretty bad. We got this old Harbor Freight flux core welder, and even if you turn it on max and pretty much put the wire speed to 0, it just don't want to weld. Upon a little bit closer investigation, the gentleman that we bought it off of had put MIG wire in it as opposed to flux core, so we're hoping that we can put some flux core wire in there, at least get the frame tacked together, and then I could probably take it to work and weld the rest of it, because I've got access to a fairly decent welder. We do quite a bit of exhaust work, so but yeah, that's where she's at. I know it looks rough, but it will be going down the road, and I have a feeling it's going to be pretty ridiculous. Alright, so this was just kind of a video updating everybody on where we were at. I apologize, I haven't been doing my best at filming some more of the technical stuff and the brainstorming, just figuring out how we're going to make this thing work, how we're going to get this engine in there, get it running, get it going down the road, and hopefully bring you some pretty sweet content of us riding it, kind of going around and ripping and just being goons on it, because that's really what the end game is here, is just to have something fun to take out and beat on. So like I said, if you do like our videos, please do subscribe to them. That way you kind of see the stuff and all the progress on this project and future projects that we have. Be sure to hit the notification bell. That way when we upload a new video, you see it. Once again, thank you for watching this video. If you like what you see, again, hit that subscribe button. Leave us some comments. Let us know how we're doing. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.